How to pick the best private label product to sell on Amazon. Hey friends, this is Daniel Arnason here, and in this video I'm going to show you our scientific proprietary method for finding the very best product to sell as private label on Amazon. This is completely unique and something I invented myself, so it's something you haven't seen before. But it is absolutely going to blow your mind. It is that powerful. I promise if you apply this methodology, your odds are going to be as high as they can possibly be of actually finding and sourcing and selling a product that will have massive long-term success on Amazon. I'm talking about the kind of product that once you launch it, it just goes boom and it explodes in a good way. Let's hop on over to my computer and I'm going to walk you through this step by step. All right, now we're really diving into the good stuff. So step number one is to identify the product. Here is a flowchart from Infinity Code that we give all our members to really explain this phase of the process, this step, and I want to show this to you here. So first step is to basically, there's like a step I'm not showing you here, that's market research, which is shown inside our Infinity Code, but this is a crash course, so for our purposes it's enough to show you like this initial niche stage. So basically, if you look at some niches, and I'll explain each thing here in more detail, this is just an overview to start. If you look at different niches on Amazon, you'll want to select one based on some initial surface level research. And then from there, you will have a couple of product opportunities that you identify to be promising based on, again, some surface level research. Now where things get really interesting and completely unique and different in our methodology to what anyone else is doing or has done, and it's because we invented this system, is you want to do what we call validation. So out of those opportunities you identify, you want to pick the best ones and you want to actually validate them. So you run what we call a product validation test on Amazon. So you literally will actually test selling this product. And don't worry, it doesn't mean you're going to have to go and do a lot of work and invest into it and all that stuff. It's not going to take a lot of time. This is something that's very simple, takes a couple of days. I'll show you how we do this, and very inexpensive, like $50 or something to validate the entire thing. And what this is going to enable you to do is to truly make an educated, data-driven scientific decision as to what product to go for and sell. Because you see, 99%, or basically every Amazon seller, bases their decision making at this critical point in the process. Like, this is the most important decision you'll ever make, is what product to sell. That will literally make or break you. With the wrong product, you will struggle and just give up. With the right one, you will, like William, like just crush it immediately. And like our other students that have gone through this. So with validation, you will literally get data from Amazon, like from their ads and everything. Like, you will literally test selling and actually sell a product on Amazon to validate it, to validate that idea. While like every other seller isn't doing it this way, and they will look at surface level data only, even if you're using some sort of tool or research software. To break it to you frankly, it is just kind of like a marketing gimmick. Anything like that, any tool, to me is rather useless. It can give you some insights, but it's all surface level data. Nothing like that is good enough to make this critical decision based off of. It seems easy, it seems quick, but it's just not good enough. Like, it just doesn't cut it if you want to really be successful. So we literally use zero tools in this part of the process, because nothing beats like the science of it, like the actual real data, which we have to get to really make the best decision. But from this phase, what you arrive with is a validated winner. Like, you will know for a fact that what you have is going to be successful, pretty much, it's extremely likely. And then you don't stop there, because you might validate a few products. Now what you'll do is, to get even clearer on what to move forward with, is you collect sourcing data only for those validated ideas.
and you'll match the validation data with the sourcing data to create pretty accurate projections into the future as to what this product would look like if you went ahead with it and got it up and running. Like literally exactly how much profit would you make from ads, from organic, everything like that. And from there you select the winner. So you might do the projections for, like, let's say 3 products. And when you've gone through this rigorous research process, the highest ROI activity of all is this process. You should come out with something super solid that pretty much will just succeed easily, quickly on its own, which I'll show you here within this entire methodology, how it's all done. But it's really like the only way to really do it, in my opinion, so that you truly succeed and so it's scalable and you can continue to put out products and be successful. Pretty much everyone has it completely backwards. Everyone like truly goes really cheap on this stage and really makes that decision way too fast and doesn't look at the data and just uses a quick tool to make a decision in a day, and then they move forward and then they focus all their energy on the marketing and they think that's the problem. Like, I don't know how to market it. I need to try all these different tools and different methods and more marketing. But you're doing it all backwards that way. It's completely wrong, because if you do this right and you choose the right product, you pretty much have to do no marketing. Like, the marketing will just take care of itself because you have something that is just a winner. Like, you have something that people want to buy and that is a really great opportunity that's open. So once you have identified that, you move into sourcing with that product. So now let's talk about this process in more detail. So the first step in identifying your product is to do what we call product research. And this is just like surface level data driven research. So what you do is just go to Amazon and browse inside the target niche or category you've selected. And it can be any niche or category. That's not the most important thing. All niches can work. It's not about your niche, it's about your product. And more specifically, it's about your search terms, which we'll talk about. So you can select any niche. If you have a passion for it, that's the best thing to do. Select that. And if you go to ryanandaniel.com/directory, that will take you to this location on Amazon to browse inside the target niche. Number 2 is you dig into the subcategory. So within that niche, find something that you're even more excited about or passionate about. And if you love coffee, for example, which I do, I love coffee. I think a lot of people love coffee. It's just an example though. Don't just select that. But for example, if you like coffee, then you could go into coffee makers. Maybe you're interested in that. For example, personally, I love French press coffee. So I might look at French press coffee makers. And coincidentally, I actually know one of our students that has been incredibly successful selling a French press. No reason for you to do that. None of what I'm about to tell you here as examples are recommendations. You're much better off doing this process on your own and having it come from you and trusting in your ability and the process. But just an example. Then number 3, you want to gather product data. And this means BSRs, or Amazon bestsellers rank. It's in the screenshot here. You can see I've circled where you find that number. So in this case, we're looking at a product in the sports and outdoors category. And again, this is just an example. It's a foam roller. As you can see, it's just randomly selected. Nothing to do with anything that I think you should do or is a better idea than something else. But you look at this number and you collect it. And then you look at the number of reviews, which is right above that, 3,033 for this product. And you want to do this for, at least 3 of the highest ranking products for any given idea. So if you're doing this, let's say you're in coffee makers, you might look at a couple of different types of coffee makers. If I look at French press, I will want to collect, type in French press or go into French presses through the category there on Amazon and select the top 3 best-selling ones and collect this data from those, and then repeat with any product ID. Any product ID is like a different kind of product. So if it's a different kind of coffee maker, then that's a different product ID. Right, so I hope that makes sense. Like French press is one kind of product, and there could even be different product types within French press that I don't even know about, like plastic French press or glass French press. So you can definitely look at that too. The main thing here is to collect the BSR, best sales rank, which you see there, and the number of reviews for the top 3 products for the most relevant search term. And if you do type in the search term like French press, like just keep it simple, the most relevant self-explanatory term. And then when you do this, you will look at the first 3 products that rank. And there's a note here, do not include sponsored ad placement. So there's going to be like a sponsored ad placement for pretty much every product, and it says sponsored in the search results. So don't click on that product and collect the data on that, because that's not what you're looking for. You're looking for the top 3 products. And I'll explain in just a moment why. Then 4, you analyze the spreadsheet data and identify the top ideas. So you want to collect this on a bunch of products, like at least 10 ideas, preferably like 25 or more. It's worth putting the time into this, and I'll talk more about delegation, but I'll just have, my team members, like you can have a virtual assistant that costs like $300 a month, full time, do this and collect like 500 ideas for you or something. So you can really look at all of those and see the best ones. You'll put this in the spreadsheet, and I don't think I'm not showing that to you here, because some of the things we have inside of Infinity Code is obviously only for our students there, but we have a spreadsheet. It's just simple, you just collect this data, but you can do what we've done there, like we color code the spreadsheet. So it will give you like a green color when something is a good idea and red when it's not. And this is what you want to look out for, and that's how you can color code and conditionally format the spreadsheet. So when you analyze the data after you collect it, you want to take the averages from the 3 products. So let's say for French press, you collected BSR and number of reviews for the top 3 French presses you found. You want to average the BSR number and average the reviews, and then you want to look at this. So the BSR, the average should be under 2,500. That's generally a good sign, because this means that there's a lot of volume. If the BSR is higher than 2,500, there's probably not, there could still be enough volume, but chances are that it's not really as exciting as something that has lower volume, because these are the top 3 products, remember. So you want to see that the average is below 2,500 in general. You also want to look at the number of reviews, and the average should be under 200. That's generally a good thing, because that's a sign of competition. But again, these are just benchmarks. You have to take everything else into account. This is kind of like good as rules of thumbs, but even if none of this is true, you might still want to look into the product. Depends on your experience level and things like that as well. But the minimums, absolute minimums, I recommend is that the BSR is under 10,000 for the average, and the number of reviews, the average is at least under 500 to 750. So if something meets that criteria, you are free to look at this ID further, but if not, I would skip it, because you can find something better. There's some other considerations as well you want to keep in mind when you look at the product. For example, you want to make sure that the weight and size make sense for you. So you could sell a product of any weight and size on Amazon and be successful at it. But if you're just starting out, I'd suggest you try to find something that isn't absolutely humongous or extremely heavy. For example, I would not suggest you try to sell a car on Amazon or something like that, but it doesn't mean that it all has to be like small and light, because yes, you may pay more for shipping and you will pay more for shipping for larger items, but if the profit margins are there, who cares? If you're starting out on a shoestring budget, then generally speaking, you want to find something that's smaller and lighter, because it's going to be cheaper to start. But again, you can start with 5 units, so even if it's quite large, it might still be fine. And bear in mind that, just like the majority is always wrong, most people are only looking at small and light items because that's what everyone tells them to do. So I'm going to tell you that you're free to look at large items, and there is so much more opportunity oftentimes with larger, bulkier items now because there's way less competition. Just bear that in mind. You can still find amazing opportunities that are light and small, but just keep that in mind. Complexity and durability. So this is more important in many ways because I would not suggest you sell something that is too complex or fragile. Fragile is more like kind of a gray area because it depends in what way it's fragile. If it's completely natural, like for that product to be fragile, of course, that's fine. You just have to be careful with how you package it and things like that. Amazon knows what they're doing with that. And if your suppliers also knows, which they should, being the manufacturer, then that's fine. But if it's something that would break on accident very easily, that can cause problems. And also, if the product is very complex, let's say like a laptop or something, I would not suggest selling that when you're just starting out, especially because it will require a lot more knowledge and support on your behalf, and potentially that will cause you a lot of issues. So try to find something that's pretty simple and straightforward, and that's going to make your life easier. Does it require special permits to sell this? For example, if it's a weapon, you probably don't want to be selling that to start unless you can actually get the permit or you have the permit. You may want to look into it though. Maybe it's easy to get that permit, or maybe it's just a paper from the manufacturer. But you just want to be mindful of it, because don't select something that you just cannot sell. Like, I've looked at things such as medical devices and then found out that, oh, I need to actually be a licensed like medical professional to sell this, and then of course I am not, so I didn't pursue that, even if I probably could with a licensed professional at my site. But this wasn't worth it in those cases for me to look into that. So just be mindful of this sort of stuff. And is the product dangerous? So like a gun or a weapon, you probably don't want to sell that because of liability. Depends, of course. But if it's something that can like kill a person, put someone's house on fire, or probably worse, like kill their pet or their child, be very careful, because it's just not going to be a pretty situation if you're selling something dangerous like that and something goes wrong. If you're selling something more kind of dangerous or like an ingestible, I'll talk about it a bit more later, but you probably want to source it domestically, and then oftentimes you can get the liability insurance of the manufacturer on your site, so you don't have to go and get that yourself. But the main point with the dangerous products is that then you would probably want to get a liability insurance policy, which can be very expensive. So we want to stay away from that, especially if you're new, so you don't have to worry about that or pay for anything like that at the beginning. Now, $20+ at the minimum as the average selling price of the product. So do not select anything to start that's less expensive than $20 to sell. Like when you're selling it as a seller, you want to get at least $20 per sale. And of course, again, this is not a black and white kind of binary thing. There's no right and wrong, really. You could sell something that's $2 and make a lot of money, but it's way less likely. And you're probably much better off in general starting out selling something that's at least $20, so that you can make a lot of profit fast, and you don't have to sell thousands of units to make profit. You can just sell like one a day. And the higher the price, the more likely it is to have great profit margins when you sell it. And especially important is the profit per sale in your pocket. So when starting out, it would be fantastic for you to have something that's at least $40, $50, because now one sale could be like $20, $30, and some products like it will be like $100 or more per sale. So that becomes very much a lot easier for you to be successful with quicker. And just like with weight and size, by the way, 99% of people are doing the wrong thing, and they are looking for cheaper priced products instead of like much higher priced products, like above $100. When you go look into those kinds of products, you'll often find that you basically will have almost no competition. And being profitable is 10 times easier, because all you need is a few sales a day, and you could be, profiting like $200, $300, $400 a day, and already have a great profitable business. And all that really matters in business is profit. Now, let's move into product validation. So here is our product validation checklist, and I had to blur some things out here because it's not fair to our members in Infinity Code to just give everything away for free here, especially these sort of resources that they have paid for and paid to access. So I still want to show this to you, like the most important things for you to know now. The other ones are more kind of like specific details that you don't have to have, really to start. But of course, it's going to just help you a lot more to have it. But this is the basic checklist that we have, and I'm just going to go and show you like the steps that you need to actually go ahead and do the validation. So let's actually go back to this checklist here. And first thing is to find the product ideas, right? Which I've already showed you. So you want to find some product ideas that you really are excited about through what I just showed you, and select those to validate. Then really what you want to do is you want to just create a basic listing. So for whatever opportunities you selected, it could be 1, 2, 3 or more. What you need to do next is you want to create a basic listing. So when you create a basic listing, that allows you to do the validation. And what I mean by basic listing is just when you're inside of Seller Central, like your seller account on Amazon, you just literally click create a new listing, and then you'll input a title, just like 2 bullet points and then 1 sentence for the description, and that's it. And you need a UPC code. You can use this resold one that costs like $1. It's fine for this because this is just something you'll take back down. It's just like a 7-day test. So all you need to do is do that, and then find 1 good image, upload it, and that's it. So you just need that very basic, simple listing. It's not designed to convert or sell at all. It is just to run the test. And you want to identify, like what are the main, like 3-4 search terms for this product, what I believe are the most searched for terms, and just like logically think about it. Don't overthink it. Don't use any tool that's completely useless for this. Just logically think, what search terms would I use if I were searching for this kind of product on Amazon? And when you type it into the search bar on Amazon, you will actually get suggested search terms. That's where you can really get more ideas, because you could do 5 at this stage, even up to 10 if you wanted to test that many. But I recommend like 3 to 5 search terms here. That's more than enough. And then you will just put those in the title. So let's say we have, like for the French press example, you have the search term French press, and then you have another one which is glass French press, and then you have another one which is like black French press. So if you selected those 3 terms that you want to test, and you should ideally see them in the search bar, like suggested results. When you type it in, it should already be like a suggested term, because it means that there's at least some volume for it. Now you select that term or those terms, and then you just put them in the title. So for those 3, what I would do is like black glass French press. Then you've included all of those 3 in the title. And that's what you need to run this test. That's all you have to think about. Don't think about anything else. It doesn't have to be a fancy title or anything. But then of course, next thing is to buy like 5 units or so and ship them into FBA. So once you've created that basic listing, you can create a fulfillment order, and now you just need to identify 5 units or so to run the test. And well, how do you do that? Now it's extremely simple, because you just need 5 like random units. Don't sell someone else's brand that you're not allowed to sell. You could find like a wholesale brand that you can sell, or just an unbranded piece of inventory. So my favorite ways of doing it is just either go to like a local store like Walmart and buy it from there and then ship it into Amazon. Or you could buy it off of Amazon, ship it to your house and ship it back in. Or you could go to a site like AliExpress, and usually you'll find anything there unbranded if you want to do that. This is probably best, unless you know you can sell some wholesale brand. And then you ship that in. And it doesn't matter if someone else is selling the exact same thing already. You'll still do it this way, create a new listing and run the test, because it's extremely unlikely that you won't be able to do that for like 7 days to run this test. Even if it really should be a part of some other listing, because the product is already there, like Amazon won't allow more than 1 listing for the same product. It's fine if you do the test like this. It doesn't matter. And you're gonna put this like for 7 days or so, and then you're gonna take it back down. So never had any issues with this. And you just wanna make sure you can get this validation up and running, this test, by creating the basic listing and having 5 units or so shipped into FBA. And that's it. Now I'll show you like the data components before you can actually choose the winner. So when you set up the product, like once you have the inventory in FBA and the listing goes live, you'll just turn on an exact match campaign with sponsored ads, which is right inside Seller Central. And these are the exact settings you want to use. So you want to set up one campaign, select an average daily budget of $10 to $20. Duration should be 1 week. You should select manual targeting, and default bid, put it at $2. Always do this. Always use these exact metrics. They're like this for a reason. And then you provide your own keywords, which we just talked about. The search terms like 5 to 10, maximum, never more than 10 because it will ruin the test. Even 3 is fine, 3 to 5. And then the match type will be exact match. Now you just run this for like 7 days, and then you look at the numbers. And this is how we analyze the data. So the benchmarks for Amazon ads per search term. So these are individually looked at for any given search term. Remember, this is an exact match campaign. So you're getting the exact data on the exact terms. And if you set it up like I just showed you, the ad should run for like 7 days. And since it's there in these search results for 7 days, you'll collect all the data coming through that search term for 7 days, like the real hard data. This is not some guesswork. You're not using some tool that's just making stuff up. You're actually running an ad that's collecting the real hard data. And now you can make a real hard, cold, scientific winning decision. So what you want to look at are these 4 things. First, we have impressions. So you want to look at this. Now you have it for 7 days. And you want to see that during those 7 days, this search term had at least 250 impressions. And it will show in your data. So the number of impressions in your ad report, the sponsored ad report, are the same if you use these metrics and you were showing up. I'll show you in just a moment how to make sure it is showing up. When you look at those metrics, that's real hard data. So if you have 250 impressions, that's the amount of searches that search term got for 7 days. So now you know exactly what the search volume is. So remember, we looked at the BSR to give us an indication if it's high or low based on how much this product is selling. If you look at those 3 top products and then look at their BSRs, we can get a good indication if they're selling a lot or not, which is an indication of volume. But that's the best we can do without running this test. Now we can look at the actual true data. No question about it. Then you want to look at the click-through rate, or CTR, which is clicks divided by impressions. And this should be 0.25% at minimum. Why? It's because this is an indication of buyer intent. If the click-through rate is lower than this, it's an indication that people aren't really interested in either the product that you're testing, like that kind of product. Remember, it should be representative of what you are actually wanting to test. So if you want to test a French press and you use the terms black glass French press, well, that's exactly what you should be testing. You should find a black glass French press because that's the idea you have for the product. So it should be above 0.25% the click rate, because that's an indication that yes, people that come through the search term are actually looking to buy something and they are looking at what they're seeing. Because if less people are clicking yours, it's either because your product isn't interesting to them, and that kind of product, or that this is just a search term that's too broad and people aren't really in shopping mode. They're just kind of looking at stuff or browsing for something else. Now, third thing is cost per click, or CPC. This would be $1.5 or lower. And if it's in the UK, like in pounds, or in Germany in euros, or something else, it should be roughly the same amount, in that currency. So you can just do a currency conversion to figure out the number there for that currency. But it should be about $150 US in terms of like the actual cost. So if the CPC is below this, it's a good sign. If it's above this, it's a bad sign, because if it's above it, it means there's a lot of competition and you'll probably struggle to at least be profitable on the ads, and you'll also have a harder time ranking organically. So we're looking for something that's a relatively like open opportunity in terms of like less competition. So the lower this number is, generally speaking, the better. Of course, if it's high, it isn't necessarily a bad thing. It might just mean that there's a lot of value here. But if it's a pretty open opportunity, it should be at least like not higher than 150. Remember our parameters. We were setting our CPC at $2. We're willing to pay $2. So as long as the cost per click, the CPC is below $2, your ad is going to run. So it is only if the cost per click is above $2 that the ad wouldn't run. And if that's the case, you definitely want to just forget about it, because unless you're a more advanced, experienced seller, this is going to be too competitive and it's not an ideal situation for you. So if it's above $2, your ad doesn't run, now you can just strike this opportunity out. It's not validated. But if it's below 150, great sign. And remember, impressions and click-through rates should also meet their relevant criteria. So now you look at sales. And there's no sales actually needed at the product validation phase, because we haven't designed the listing to sell. So don't be surprised if you don't have any sales. You don't have any reviews or anything. But if you have sales during the 7-day test, and you should price your product about average, by the way. Now, if you have sales, that is a fantastic sign. Because if you're able to sell this way without optimizing it at all, and you don't have any reviews or anything, that's a fantastic sign. And especially if the A cost, which is the average cost of sale, which you'll also see in the ad report, if that is below the expected profit margin you'd have this product, now that is really an incredible sign. And this does happen quite often, actually. And when that happens, you just proved this opportunity, because you already did a test. And basically, if the A cost, the average cost of sale through the ad, is below the percentage number of your profit margin, let's say your profit margin is 30% and the A cost is 25%, like through that search term, the test was actually profitable. So just imagine what will happen when you get your profit margins to increase, which you'll do with time for sure. Plus you get your listing up and running and designed to convert with reviews and everything. Like your A cost would be like 5% or lower. So you would be making a substantial profit through that search term. So this is the way we look at it, right? And if we see any of those incredible signs, of course, it's just a green light that, hey, this is totally proven. It's going to work, pretty much. Guaranteed. But if it's not, as long as, these criteria are met, then the opportunity is validated. You have something that looks like a great opportunity based on cold, hard data. So like science. And note, if the search term is ROI positive, like I mentioned with the A cost, it's the same thing, then it beats anything else. Now you've literally proven that it's going to work. And here's an actual example for you. So this is a validation campaign that's completed. And if you look at this data here, you can see that, obviously blurred out the exact terms, but you can see that 2 of them had like the most impressions by far. And if you look at those 2, you can see that one of them has a much higher click-through rate. Remember, that's clicks divided by impressions. So one has 28, the other one has just 10. So the first one doesn't meet our criteria, but the second one does. So the click-through rate, both meet the criteria with the impressions, but only one of them meets the criteria with the click-through rate. Now, when we look at the CPC, it's a bit higher for number 2, but it's still within our criteria, like below 1.5. And you can then look at the sales, right? So number 2 had sales and the A cost is 27%. In this case, the profit margin is at least 30%, maybe even 40% on this product, but it definitely is higher than 27%, which means that this search term was actually profitable in this test. So that's a clear winner. Now we've got one validated search term, which means that this product is basically validated. But we have another clearly validated term there with sales and a 5% A cost. So now we have at least 2 search terms we can move forward with. And this idea is very much validated because the test even here was profitable. So we can't get any more certain than that it's going to be a good idea to sell this product. We've already basically made money if we only look at those two search terms. If we had this awareness before, we only, you knew to only run these two search terms because we know they're the best, we would have made money like right away with this simple test. So when you do optimize it, it will all improve like 10 times. Now, example number 2, just similar to the first one. Another example, and you can see that, there's some opportunities here, but by far the most interesting term is number 3 based on this test. So good click-through rate and CPC is below 150, and we have sales and ACOS of 50%. That's still obviously not as good as the other one, but I know for certain it will go below 30% with some time, like improving the product and things like that, optimizing it, as I'll show you here a bit later in the crash course, another video. This will definitely go into the green and be profitable. So those are some examples for you. Now let me talk about why picking a winner is critical. This is literally the most important stage in the entire selling on Amazon process, is selecting the correct product and a winner, like a product that's basically guaranteed to succeed. And the reason is that there's just a night and day difference between what's going to happen next based on what you select. If you select the right product, then like William, you will experience just an incredible start with your product, like month 2, selling over $10,000 worth of that product. Like that kind of thing will happen with the right product, and it will just explode. Like it will be so easy. Any marketing, all that sort of stuff, like all marketing strategies and tactics become almost like irrelevant because it will just work. Like just the simple things that Amazon provides you with is going to be enough with the right product. If you don't have the right product, that's when you're going to be searching and scrambling and being confused, like doubting yourself and thinking things don't work, and looking at all these different things to try and test and all these marketing strategies and stuff, and nothing works because you just don't have the right product. And it's just a tremendous upward struggle. It's like trying to push a rock, like a massive rock up a mountain versus like pushing like a tiny ball down the mountain. Like that's the difference in your experience when you pick the right versus the wrong product. And like I told you, pretty much everyone has it all backwards. Everyone believes that picking the product is simple and easy in a way where you can just do it kind of randomly by guessing and using some sort of random tool that you think is reliable, but is not. And it's just not the way it works. They're completely backwards. This is really where you should put the energy and effort to really find something that is good and validate it through scientific, real cold hard data on Amazon, and be certain that you're selecting a winner, a right kind of product, like the right opportunity to then source and sell a product into. It's all about the opportunity, the conditions, and more precisely, it's all about the search terms. Because with any one product, you could be very successful with the right search terms and totally unsuccessful with the wrong set of search terms. So really, what this boils down to is not only like finding a good opportunity in terms of the product type, but also a fantastic opportunity in terms of the actual exact search terms you're going to focus on and target at the beginning. And I'll show you here in just a second how to really work with those search terms to promote the product and be successful right away. And why, when you select the right search terms and then source the right product into it, things will just be extremely easy. And marketing will just happen almost automatically. Like you don't have to put any thought and effort into it, basically. It will just happen, and you'll have much, much bigger things to think about and worry about than some, strange, random, or different kind of marketing tactics. So this is why picking a winner is critical. It will make or break you. And when you have the right product and you fully validated the opportunity, the idea, and found like really good search terms that have amazing data, everything will happen easily. This is critical. And here's to go deeper and explain why this is the case, why it works this way. I want to show this to you. This is what we call Amazon's flywheel. And Amazon is set up in a way that is really, really clever. Like, this is extremely, extremely clever. And actually, if you look at pretty much all successful like online sites and things like YouTube, they have a similar sort of engine of growth. Every business needs an engine of growth, and this is Amazon's engine of growth. So let me explain this to you. And again, sites like YouTube and stuff have very similar engines to Amazon, but Amazon specifically, you have this engine of growth. And what happens is that the more their selection increases, meaning the more options customers have, the more products are on Amazon, the better the customer experience gets. People have more options, better pricing, things like that. Now, when the customer experience increases, that means there's more people that are going to come to Amazon. So the traffic of Amazon increases. Like, there's more people coming to the site again and again and telling all their friends, and everyone is coming to the site because it's good. Now, that means that more and more sellers are also going to want to sell there because it's a bigger and bigger opportunity. And what does that mean? Well, that means that the selection is improving even further, which further improves the customer experience, which further increases the traffic. And again, it increases the number of sellers. So it is a vicious upwards cycle here that happens. And when this is happening, what is happening to Amazon as they grow is they can actually have a lower and lower cost structure per product. So they're able to set up like their incredible infrastructure, which they've done, to ship all over the world and fulfill and deliver at record-breaking prices and speed. And their cost structure is lower and lower per product, which means that the prices for the customers are, again, even lower. And now the customer experience also gets better because the prices are low, they don't pay for shipping, and it happens in like 2 days or a few hours. And this is how it works. And this is how Amazon just keeps growing and growing and growing as this flywheel spins. And basically Amazon is unstoppable. And that's the magic, right? This is really the secret sauce to how Amazon works. And you might be wondering, like, okay, we were just talking about product research. How is this actually relevant for me? Well, when I say picking a winner, I basically mean picking a product that aligns with Amazon's flywheel. So a product that really fits within this model they have. And I've mentioned before, like, we want to work with Amazon as our business partner. We're not trying to take advantage of the system and break their rules and you know, basically have them kick us out. We're looking to build a relationship and be someone of value to them as well as them being a value to us. So we're looking to be a value, massive value for our customers, but also to Amazon as a basic business partner here. So when you help increase their selection, that's when the magic happens for you too. So when you're able to identify like a gap or a great opportunity to come in and fill a gap when it comes to their selection, it could be better priced product, which most likely we're not going to actually look at doing. We're going to rather look at the other option, which is like a better product. It could be a more premium product. I remember it distinctively with my first ever product that in a few months' time went from like first order being $258 to like $70,000 in sales in 1 month. All from that initial investment because I had huge profit margins. But I also came in and created like the first really premium version of that product. So my profit margins were through the roof, and I really filled a gap because there's always a certain percent of people that want the best, the finest, or something slightly different to what is already out there, or something. There's an improvement that everyone wants now or something. So this is the magic. If you do what I just showed you to identify your product and it's validating, it basically means that it's right on the sweet spot here. It's within this flywheel. And sometimes you find something incredible through the validation, something that just blows your mind, that's incredible. And it's really filling a gap that's valuable. And you'll see it in the data when you do the validation. And this is why when you do then actually source and release this product that is really filling this gap and bringing a lot of value to Amazon by basically improving their selection, now like it just will explode. Like that product for you will just take off. And it's amazing. That's why you want to go beyond just picking an okay product or looking at a tool that, you know, tens of thousands of other people looking at and then selecting what that's popping up and showing you. You don't want to do that. You want to do the work and spend the time and energy, which isn't that big of a deal anyway, to really find something incredible that other people aren't finding, that no one else has actually discovered. And that's just basically a gap which you can fill with a private label product. And then you will just have explosive results. So that's the first part of identifying your product. This is really, again, the most important part of the entire process. So I'm taking some time out to really explain this. But I hope it has been really, really eye-opening so far. And I'm excited to continue showing you how to identify a winner in the next video. So I'll see you there.